when it comes to play, fun, and work, we're handed definitions. It's up to us in our adult life to sort of redefine, and this is what we mean when we say X.
Human society and culture is supposed to function as work and play being synonymous.
The tinkering and the toil and the sweat and the not getting it the first time is actually kind of the point.
The human job description, the meaning, the purpose of human work is
Dave, today we want to talk about play, fun, and work. And before I ask you about the intersection of those three or how they're different from each other, I have to tell you a little bit about my college dorm room, call it. So I don't know if you'll relate to this or not. I think everybody, at least guys, many of the guys I talk to go through a season of life like this where it's, we got the couch from X dumpster or by the side of the road. Oh, those chairs are free. Let's grab those. Sure. The stuff hanging on our wall is like Goodwill art. And that whole season of I'm out on my own for the first time and this is just my decorating.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this Rediscover series is evaluating our internal world almost like you would aesthetically a room. So yeah. Nice. I'll put it in a different way where my wife's sister is an interior designer. So juxtapose my college dorm room experience, get this thing from Goodwill, this couch from the dumpster, to high end, bringing a designer in to like, let's really think about what we want for this space.
Yeah.
Now to how people think about their internal world, most people do not actually think about the words they use as almost like, oh, I'm going to hang this picture internally here, and this is what it means to me. And I think one of my hopes for our conversations is that people would look at their internal world and go, oh, there's a design element here to say, does goodness or does badness and evil run things? Or is my work worthwhile? And all of that is like rearranging your heart and your internal space to go, oh, this is like how it should be. Like I'm designing with intention instead of grabbing things mismatched here and there. When it comes to play, fun, and work, we're handed definitions, and I think it's up to us in our adult life to sort of redefine and reclassify, oh, this is what we mean when we say X. And you're really good at doing this. So offline before we recorded, we've talked about a few of these words, and we had to bring it here because I think there's very big differences in your mind between things like what most people think of when they hear play or the word fun or the word work. But you put play in the title of your company. So maybe just go there. The Center for Play and Exploration. When someone hears that, tell me what you hear and think of and what most people who aren't exposed to the work you do, they might think of.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the folks that helped me start the center and I went back and forth on this a little bit of, let's play. Like, I don't know. We were sold, like we had kind of converted, I guess, but we realized putting it in the name was going to cause some confusion, and is that conversation worth it? How easy do you want it to be for folks to find you and hire you and work with you? And obviously as easy as possible. But we did realize too, and this is starting to answer your question, in real time at the beginning stages of the center's life, we were getting calls asking, we were going to do a team retreat day, and we're going to go shoot, skeet, and drink. So can you do that for us?
It's like, Dave, you're the guy that's going to set that up.
Yeah, for sure. Like that, they had, to use your word, they had assumed what I meant by play based on I know more now to know that it was just a default switch. It wasn't like intentional on their part. So I think you set it up really well. That's almost exactly what my experience was getting those phone calls. They were just assuming, or a default track, they clicked on to that.
Yeah.
And so play is being silly or frivolous or relaxing, escaping, to get into it, basically to distract yourself. So I think most people, when they hear play,
this
the
play is a
default,
distraction.
The default is distract, separate, escape sometimes. Let's do something that doesn't matter. Let's do something unserious. And so they start to say play and fun start to become interchangeable.
Well, in a previous episode, we talked about school.
Yeah.
Something to think of even in how that develops is you have your serious class time and then your fun play outside recess,
Sometimes
which is not serious.
Recess, right.
And we're like, oh, you got to go get the Zoomies out, get the kids to just like, and then they come back into their serious classes.
That's right. Yeah, the play and fun being synonyms, and those early calls for folks hiring or wanting to hire the center helped me clarify that. And the first couple go-rounds of the center were in the forms of cohorts, like folks that went through a sort of intensive couple-month experience. We'd travel, and we would eat, and we would explore and think deeply about these things. And we found a guy named Robert Neal, who I think he was a pastor and then sort of straddled two careers for a while. I'm not sure how long he stayed that, but in the 60s and 70s, he was doing that work and wrote this book called In Praise of Play. And it's fascinating just culturally, to read a book, 60 years old, 50 or 60 years old, and the language and the pace and all that. But he was actually really, really crucial and integral for me and the center's understanding of this. He talks about the difference between play and fun as this, and I would completely agree. That fun is what we mean by I'm going to distract myself from real life. So in other words, real life is so hard and so difficult and so much toil that every now and then I need to step out. I need to go on vacation. I need to escape. I need to distract myself. So, living for the weekend, right? So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Like we're going to work and do all the serious stuff and do the stuff that counts. And it's important, but it's simply blowing off steam. It's a release valve, So I'm going to drink myself. We say it like this, right? I'm going to drink myself into a stupor. I'm going to go I'm going to go unplug. So you can see how if you go one conversation deeper.
And in this definition, that is fun.
Fun. Yeah, that's fun. And people think, well, that's what play. I'm going to go play. Play is fun. Fun is play. Those are interchangeable. But Neil and others, and certainly myself, want to give a nod to him, play is almost the exact opposite of that. So to juxtapose them or put them against each other, if fun is distraction, play is engagement, full engagement. If fun is averting your eyes, play is locking eyes with whatever the thing is. Usually, and I think it's fair for the conversation, life. Like life itself, life, work, relationships, the stuff that makes up most of our lives. Fun is about distracting yourself and numbing out from those things. And play is curiosity driven, and now we're at the center's definition of it and how I would define play. Curiosity driven exploration of hidden potential. Anytime a human being is driven by curiosity, what is that over there? How does that work? Why did you do that? Why do I do that? And they go mess with it or find out what's happening, what are other ways to do this, they're playing.
So to cut you off for a second, because I think it's important as someone's driving and they're listening to this or they're thinking through, well, I've used fun and play interchangeably for the last few decades of my life. And so they're renegotiating it in their heads as they listen. Play and work is at some point, I would say those lines get very blurred. For a lot of people, it's like, oh, I got to go find a serious job so I can pay the bills. And it's like the job and the work is this thing. And play doesn't feel in any way attached to that. Or they were tinkering over here, and to their parents or the people around them, it was like, well, why are you even tinkering with that? That doesn't seem like a good use of your time, right? Or you, and I'll personal here, sometimes the things that I'm interested in that maybe I would say, oh, I'm tinkering with this because I do have a curiosity about it, but because I can't think of how I could monetize it or whatever, it almost lessens my overall desire because like, well, this can't become the thing I do. So help me untangle that a little bit, specifically in this work and play space and how you see them overlapping or how you see our culture getting them wrong.
Starting ideal or starting at the beginning or the end, whichever direction you want to go, I think is helpful. And then we'll kind of come back to the middle or to right now, real time. I think that the work play line is not supposed to be only blurred. It's supposed to be non-existent. So I think, and we can get philosophical, theological, whatever. I think human beings are intended, designed, made towards. I think human society and culture is supposed to function as work and play being synonymous.
Yeah. So take play and fun. We're going to move play to the other category. Play and work are going to sort of link up here.
Yeah. So break the synonym over here, reattach it over there. Yeah. Well said. Now, of course, immediately, I hope everyone listening is like, oh, what a naive, stupid thing to say. Work is toil, right? And
Dave's never left the studio. He doesn't know what's going on.
What's going on out in the life of the world today? Yeah. Who's the president and what year is it? Yeah. All that. Yeah. So, of course, as they should, that's the first question that people should ask. And absolutely, that is real and true. But it's a barrier, it's a sickness, it's a problem to be worked with and worked around. The conveyor belt, the assembly line, and we've all had jobs that were awful, and people listening right now hate their job. So maybe another place to break some synonyms, job and work, right? I'm thinking of work in this sort of idea, purpose, sort of existential, philosophical. What is work and what should work be? So if we can start with that ideal, it should be play. In other words, it should be the human idea of work is uncovering, being curious about the world, going and messing around with it, that activity of search, exploration, discovery, cultivating what you find, imagining, cultivation, the stuff that we discover in the world, and then unlocking that potential for the rest of us, for human flourishing. That equals work, ideally, philosophically. And then, because of the brokenness and selfishness in the world, that gets hijacked and it gets exploited here and there when we introduce the possibility of wealth and power. And we know this story. We don't even have to tell it. A few people, or some people, have capitalized on that and figured out how to make their life, and isn't this interesting, more fun, actually. Hoarding resources to numb yourself out and distract and play and all that makes the problem even worse. Instead of reinvesting, curiosity-driven, unlocking potential in your workers, I think it's actually it's been profound in my life of work and play and fun. So if we can have a whole other episode probably on the toil part, but I don't think we need a lot of time there,
the
right?
The toil part is an interesting thing for me right now.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I jotted down here is having an 18-month-old.
Yeah.
Curious about everything, right?
Yeah.
So we're not the lines between fun and play and work obviously don't matter to an 18-month-old yet, but he gets so frustrated if he has a little switchboard with all these lights on it, and it's like the switches he can't do, the toil of even that, he starts to get frustrated by. I'm not going to play with that anymore. I'm only going to do the stuff I know, or like a zipper. He's like, so curious about it until the toil of it feels frustrating. And I think that is an interesting piece of this, is that in our world, there is so much we could be curious about. And there is an effort that has to be put in to really get at that embedded goodness. And that is actually something over time that is like worth celebrating. But it doesn't come naturally.
That's a great example. Yeah. And it can be carried to our lives right now. Like your child we understand that, like the frustration that gets to the point of abandonment. We're like, I just don't care. Or
I
this
feel
is
that way
too
when I practice guitar.
I can't do this anymore. It hurts, And there it is again. This, if people can be listening and thinking about the nuance of that it's not either or. Work and toil and play are enmeshed with each other. And the center's work, the Center for Play and Exploration, is about unmeshing, is about untangling that with this rock bottom bedrock belief that work is supposed to be play. And so let's try to make work at your organization and your corporation, in your home, in the work of a relationship, let's make that more like what it should be. And it's tantalizing almost, isn't it, to think about if you're in, and again, over here a parking lot for a minute, just the jobs that we all hate, that are life-sucking, just destructive. So those are probably not going to survive, with after play has its way with them. They'll be almost unrecognizable, people being plugged back into what they love to do and are flourishing and doing, and kind of co-creating and community to get all this beautiful stuff. So that being said, because it's entangled and enmeshed like this, I would suggest that the only way you're going to untangle it and make it more playful, and again, not necessarily more fun, more, enjoyable, delightful, engaging, enticing, intriguing, is by being curious and using divergent thinking on the thing that's stuck. Where are you stuck? The assumption is there is incredible goodness hiding in this room, in this team, in this process. We have to be curious to go find it. And while we embark on being curious about it, we're going to uncover a lot of stuff that we've said to each other, and that this past decision that people are still angry about. But if that's true, that's also why you're stuck, So I think it's almost indescribably powerful what we mean, and I think what should be meant by play and exploration, because now we're starting to knock against the door of, it's like redemptive, it's like rehabilitate, it's like reconciliatory, it's like things that were broken to the point of abandonment are starting to hum again, of again being curious, being free to fail. Other episodes we've talked about this. If I bring this up in my work meeting, this could go very badly. And I'm talking about past pain and frustrations. But if there's this communal agreement that, no, we want to find hidden goodness again, I'm in and I'm willing to try this, and you work towards that together, it's almost miraculous what can happen. And when you say it out loud like that, I think you and I are like, well, sure. If you could kind of uncover where you're stuck and the pain points and all that, then and work on it and kind of move on and apologize and get better, then I think things would probably improve. But it's so complicated,
Exactly.
and
exactly right.
with the back to the divergent thinking stuff, it's easy to do divergent thinking on a third party or a disconnected, like, oh, cool, like what are all the different ways I could use a paperclip, versus I'm sitting across from my boss who deeply wounded me and my company, and I think is the problem, right? And how in the world do I start thinking? Because reputation and identity and shame are the potential for shame and actual shame are so much higher over here, which is precisely why divergent thinking doesn't work as well here, because that muscle that minimizes it is pretty weak in all of us.
And somebody listening is going, that doesn't sound like play anymore, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Because now the stakes are so much higher, right?
Good
but
point.
To create the type of world that we all desire and want, that's why this muscle is so necessary, is because if we get this wrong, we keep living in this space where we're disconnected, or we talk past each other, or we don't get the creative output in collaboration that we all desire, and the purpose that's comes from that, right? But it's in a lot of hard conversations and rediscovery and rehabilitation.
Thinking about and practicing play like this is the way, and maybe the only way, that we're going to solve the biggest, most hairy, audacious adult problems in the world.
The best thing I learned in my early 20s being on a team as a leader was having a boss who set rules for our meetings. And one of those rules being, when we close the door in the staff meeting, we want to argue with each other. We want to essentially fight for the best idea to win. When that door reopens, whatever we decided here, we're going to all leave and be behind that decision. Wow. And actually being on a team where that did thrive for a number of years, because you can say that. Sure. I've also been on teams where they said that and the culture was the opposite, right? But to be on a team where that actually thrived, you go, oh, this is possible if we have hard conversations. And I say that to encourage everybody that's listening, because that momentum builds. If you get to be honest today, bring your ideas today, and you notice you're not getting walked on, you're encouraged to do it again tomorrow. Everybody has equal share and equal voice. It's like you started from this place of like, I'll give a little bit more, but it's like the compound interest in a culture or in a family, in a team, is what you're after. Yes. And I promise it does happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you have a new problem, right? You have too many ideas and your people are too engaged. Can you imagine like how rare that is, of like, we could try this and what about that? But because of this trust that gets built and these rules that have been set, okay, this is the playground. This is how this is going to go. I mean, it's just such a enticing idea to me of a team sitting down to solve a really stuck part of their life and their work and running out of space from all the ideas they come up with. And I just was struck as you were talking. This might be a stretch, but it's like love. It feels like love. Real love, like true love. I show my worst to you. I fail in front of you. I'm stuck. I cause damage in front of you. And we talk about that, and it is brought out in front of us, and you see it and you recognize it, and you tell me, yeah, you did that, and it caused this pain in my life, and I apologize for it, and we forgive each other and move on. That's like indestructible, right? If you are seen at your worst or an embarrassing spot and survive it and thrive afterwards with those people, I mean, it's love.
And this is possible in any area of our lives, to pick an area and go, I'm going to essentially don't go expose I was going to say expose yourself, but whoa. You get what I'm saying.
I do.
In any area, this is actually huge in public speaking, right? Yes. Why do we feel like comedians are so relatable? It's because of self-deprecating humor. What are they doing? They're exposing a flaw that they have or that their family had or whatever it is, and all of a sudden we feel like there's humanity there. Yeah. This sense of connection and attachment.
Of course.
Play that out in any area of your life. If you want to be a better public speaker, go ahead and tell a joke where you're the butt of that joke and it just works. But if you want to create vulnerability in a culture, you just go ahead and go first and watch the dominoes fall after that, because you chose to be honest and real and authentic. And that can happen in your family. Pick a situation.
Yes, 100%. And heal and reconcile well, right? Afterward. I think the surviving it part is what actually sends people into the stratosphere of like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to leave this company. I'm never going to leave my marriage because I have been seen at my worst. I can't get worse than that, and I'm loved anyways.
And to bring creativity into it too, right? So there's hard conversations that have to be had, but then you could also go, we want more creative ideas to flourish in our company, or even in your personal life. How much space do you give yourself to have bad ideas? My propensity for getting frustrated with myself, oh my gosh, like I need to grow that muscle, right? Because I'm just like, if I don't have the right idea, if I don't chase the right thing first time, I'm like beating myself up internally. I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of people who find themselves in that kind of headspace.
That's almost all. It's only who we're working with, right? And myself at the top of that list. That's shame. That's what the center calls shame. You're sitting there like berating yourself for either not coming up with enough ideas, coming up with the wrong ideas, or not coming up with enough good ideas. You're an idiot and everyone else can do this better. The comparison things start. And the divergent thinking muscle that every human has, it simply turns that voice down, and you work it out over enough time for a little bit here and there, it will get better.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's incredible news, that sitting at a blank page you can't generate ideas. A team stuck and the stakes are so high. If we don't solve this problem in the fourth quarter, everybody is fired and everyone loses their job. Incredibly high stakes, and fear of failure is so high. It's this little muscle sitting in the front of our brains that exercising it over time, you get more and more comfortable with failing and guessing in front of each other. And then the natural goodness in all these people just starts seeping out bit by bit, and it exponentially grows because your ideas spark mine, and then you're at that ideal place of, man, this job feels a lot like play. It is inspiring, it's interesting, it's challenging. There's real problems to solve. I think when people talk about it for longer than a beat or two, they realize, I think I actually do want some challenge or some maybe unsolvable problems in my play. Otherwise, it's back to that I'm just kind of narking out again.
Well, also, one of the differences between play and fun that immediately came to my mind is play. I think of two things. I think of theater, play.
Like a play?
Yeah, a play. Yeah. Or I think of games.
Yeah.
And it's not a game if there's not either like an opponent or something that you could potentially, there's an engagement level because it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that immediately came to mind for you, but in both of those, there's something that in a play you're memorizing lines and there's stakes because you could get it wrong on stage, or the performance of it, all of that. Yeah. So to think of the difference there too, it's thinking of play as there is actually like an end result that we're seeking that is not assumed, that is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
But it's pursuit.
And you had to try, not knowing if it was going to work or not. And there's the delight, there's the thrill, there's the like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? The unknown, the ignorance. It's impossible to be curious about what might happen if you know already. And that's not to say like we need evil and frustration in the world in order for things to be good. No. Categorically, no. It's not evil to not know how something's going to go or what someone's going to say. Or
can we bring up something theologically really quick?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just curious on your take on this. So we both come from the Christian tradition.
We do.
If you go all the way back to the Genesis poem and you're like, okay, let's say that this snake never actually gets these humans to fall.
Yeah.
In the garden, to my knowledge, we would still be cultivating the earth.
What do you mean by cultivating?
And I think there would still be sweat in the garden. I think there would still be an amount of effort that has to be put in, because if you just do the thought experiment of how fulfilling would a life be where I could snap my finger and get whatever I want, I don't know I would sign up for that version of heaven after I die. You would want it. You would want it for about as long as you want a all-inclusive vacation, right? Like I'm going for 4 days in September to an all-inclusive, and I can't wait. Yeah. But if I was there for longer than a month, the amount of creativity in me that was just like, where am I supposed to put this, right? Because I can just get everything. I don't know. What's your take on that?
God knows that would never work too. And God knows that because God is ridiculously, wholly good. And that's just like snapping the fingers, instant gratification thing is not great goodness. It's like, it's like Santa Claus sort of, hidden goodness, your children working for something and discovering it themselves and being formed in the process of it. That's gooder, right? That's goodness that becomes their own rather than I just like set it on your head. That's become so precious to me of the default. And there it is again, the default of play and fun being just instant, have it, no work, no challenge. Yeah, the toil, pain, meaningless, I think is too far on the other side. But absolutely not without challenge and intrigue and suspense and hard. I don't know how this is going to go. And you think about a child becoming an adult, where we all know people that we're pretty sure, I think their parents just kind of gave them everything, what they wanted in an instant. And you completely understand that. Like, I love them, and I don't want them to suffer.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we know, I think if they don't have any of that goodness as their own, it was just kind of placed near them. They've never like nurtured or created something. They've never worked for something on their own. And that's play. That is, I care about this. There's something hidden goodness, curiosity-driven exploration of hidden goodness is work, is play.
The tinkering and the toil and the sweat and the not getting it the first time is actually kind of the point.
It's all part of it. Yeah. Absolutely.
One of the words we might have mentioned it in passing, but we haven't been saying it. We've said play, fun, work. I want to bring purpose into it because how, as you've maybe worked with people or with teams, or as you think of somebody listening to this, if they're leaving this episode, they go, okay, I've got my brain and my heart have been readjusted towards these terms, Dave. I'm on the same page. But also I'm in this place where I'm not sure what my purpose is. Where do I even start with the tinkering and the toiling? Or I'm in a job that does feel like it's kind of sucking my soul. How do you see purpose playing into this as people start to explore more or whatever? How does it change things and maybe their perspective or perception of purpose?
Going to wear my theological love and biases completely on my sleeve here.
All you can do.
Take just everyone listening, remember that, and let's keep talking about it. First thing is, I think that the big picture job description for every human being is knowable. And so the big, what am I here to do? When I hear purpose, I hear meaning, I hear sort of this Christian idea, religious idea of vocation, like a calling. What is a human to do? I mean, it's a huge philosophical question. In the creation account, I think we have that, and I believe it and love it with all my heart, that the human job description, the meaning, the purpose of human work is play and exploration. That's why we called it that. And by that, I mean curiosity-driven exploration of hidden potential. I think the Creator made the cosmos not with all goodness sitting around. Back to your original point a few seconds ago. It's embedded and it's hidden from us, and I think that's delightful. So
that's daunting, though.
Yeah. What do you mean?
To somebody who is, let's say, decades into something where they're like,
right.
I wasn't given that
sure.
software download.
Good. Yeah.
So that's where I want to flip that, because I think even nodding in agreement with you, I'm like, yes. And how easy is it for many of us to go, I like the hypothesis that Dave's putting forward, or the thesis that Dave has, and yet I don't sense that, or I don't even know where to start digging. It's like standing in a cereal aisle and being like, there's way too many options.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. If your job is to play and explore in the cosmos, you're like, where do I start? And I'm 30 years into a career. Yeah. Okay. Got it. But again, it's a two-part answer. The first one, and it is crucial, is that I think sounds kind of arrogant to say, I guess, but I think the meaning of life question in that sense has been answered by the Creator of, I'd like you to play and explore in my cosmos and bring me the stuff that you find and unlock its potential to help everybody flourish and enjoy this together. I think full stop. So that's
that's the best answer great. That I've heard. So,
and then the second thing is, again, simple for the sake of time, but I would love to go, this is what the center does, is a where question. That's the what. This is what I'm made to do. Where should I do that? And that's the cereal aisle question. And I think a little bit of that, there's a little shake of wiring and personality type and natural giftings that a person has. You know, the classic example that I heard growing up, Mom, Dad, I think I want to be an astronaut. Well, that's great. How do you plan to navigate your incredible phobia of small, tight places and heights? I was like, well, I'm just gonna. You see what I'm saying? Or I want to be Michael Jordan. I can't dunk. I have no jumps. Like, well, I think that's totally an act of goodness and love too, from a parent, from a friend. Now, you can't do that. Some of that is answered that way, wiring stuff. But then there's a whole other thing of I'm curious about this thing and I want to learn and get better at it. So I think too, another facet of that stone is almost like the hobby part-time thing. So I'm thinking of people like myself that were in one career and one track for 20, 25 years and then kind of got piqued by this other thing, or were let go or fired or got divorced, or like something threw you off the track you were on. And now what do I do? The what question is still answered the same way, kind of anywhere you want to go. But then the practical where question, curiosity, bills and responsibilities that you have, wiring that you have or don't have, what's possible for you, and staying away from the dramatic, like sexy, romantic, big change, the incremental, I'm just going to go sit in on a class at the Y rather than quit my job and start a business,
Well, one of the most fun things in doing this series with you, I don't know if you felt the same way too. I am a collector of stories and things, but one of the practical takeaways that I jotted down for this episode that goes right along with what you're saying is just starting to be curious about anything. Yeah. Go collect stories of people that were curious, right? Good. We're going to do that in a future episode. Or go look at the natural world or the cultures of the world and go, well, that was cool. Yeah. They did that. He did what? She did this. Yeah. And just collecting it and having to rewrite it or rethink about it or journal, or you could start a blog about it. Though that gets your brain thinking, because you even see what prompted other people's exploration. Yes. Like, this loss prompted this. Or to pull the same example from our first episode where phobia of bugs to I'm going to just go take pictures of bugs. Like those types of connections. And you're great at helping people do this as well. And the center is helping. But that, I think of just allowing that level of curiosity. And sometimes when we feel stuck, that prompt is not where we naturally go. We just feel stuck for longer. Yeah. And when you start to, if you're buying into, like I'm hoping you will, the not either or, just kind of the incremental, like I'm just going to sniff around over here and see what that's like. Because the world is such a ridiculously good, diverse kind of place, I can say that confidently to people, because as soon as they start like venturing in somewhere, they're going to meet other people and see other places and hear other stories that are going to start to encourage or redirect. If it is sort of a calling thing that's in play there, like I am just getting increasingly miserable at my job. I see all kinds of detrimental effects in my life working here doing this thing. And I have responsibilities and a family and bills to pay. So out of love and care for them, I'm not going to walk out and quit and endanger us all. But I am going to start a clandestine exploration project of like, I need an exit path here. And the world is good enough to hold all interests and hobbies and work. There's enough resources out there. And when you start dabbling, you will learn as you go. And I can say that confidently, encouraging people to do that. I mean, because of this belief in that kind of goodness, that you just don't know things right now that you will 3 weeks from now, that will be incredibly helpful in the way of encouraging you to stay on that path and maybe do start thinking about quitting your job and starting the other one. Or, oh no, I was way off. I was just like fantasizing about what I thought this work would be. I did follow a shadow day and nope, that's not it, or somewhere in the middle. And then you've learned something and you've grown in a certain way and you're closer to it. And you may never get to the point where that thing, the new thing, is your new 100% full-time, you're making boats of money doing it. It may be like you have 2 or 3 gigs, but you've learned how to nurture that kind of deeper goodness in yourself. And you'll start to meet other people that are doing the same thing, and you'll start to learn how to unlock goodness in that area too. What's at stake if we don't get this play fun and work sort of definitions right.
What is at stake is boredom and sort of rotting versus engagement, flourishing, strength, and growth. Filling that out a little bit, what's at stake is the kind of life, the kind of human life that is really built on and values drugging out and escapism and working for the weekend and retire as soon as you can so that you can do nothing versus daily engagement with an enticing, good, generative, surprising, enticing kind of world. Surprises, challenges, meaningful, significant. I really don't think it's too dramatic to say getting work and play and fun blurred eventually, ultimately leads to that kind of fork in the road of this is what a good life is, this is what a good world is.
Let's end here. What do you say are the keys to fostering play, both like personally or within a team? So somebody's leaving this, what are some of those key, maybe it's attributes? Like one that came to my mind from our conversation is stick-to-itiveness or a perseverance, right? That there's something that you're intrigued by, but the first time or the second time you do it, you're not seeing the progress or the result. In order to live into what we're talking about today, you have to have some level of, I'm going to try this for a while because it's probably not going to feel like play or it's not going to come easy. It's just going to be an idea that I had that I'm going to go tinker with, but I'm going to tinker with it long enough to really discover and like let it set in. So there's a level of like stick-to-itiveness that I think is needed and can be done like playfully and with an excited attitude. Almost like you're not going to go into it naive.
Yeah.
You're going to go in and be like, there's supposed to be a level of struggle.
Yeah.
We've been hinting at that a little. But what are maybe other attributes or keys to somebody who's trying to continue to foster this?
I think very practically, see if there's any kindred spirits at work or in your network that'd be willing to try some divergent thinking together. Just no skin in the game, like completely safe. Like, do you want to try these multi-use test, like skill practices with me? And if they say no, try it on your own. And we can tell you how to do that either in the notes or reaching out to us. But that will loosen some things up and lead to other discoveries. So especially if there's a person or two at work or in your neighborhood or your community that's like, yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah. Breaking down walls we've mentioned toxic individualism.
Yeah,
like, don't try to just do this alone.
Yeah.
Tinker with other people.
And whether that's yourself or with your work team, etc., it starts to break down. Well, we've done that before. We've tried everything, and that just cements, that just locks you into the ruts that you're in already and are leading to burnout and frustration. Because then the ripple effect of the implications are the other kinds of goodness that'll start to benefit you if you try that is you become more and more aware of potential goodness that you didn't know about in your work and in your relationships, and you'll find things because you're looking for them more. And thankfully, there's stuff there to find if you're looking for it. And it probably will snowball from there. You'll get some momentum, and you'll find the people that see the world that way too.
That's awesome. Well, we created a 5-day rediscovery journal that you can check out. That's another good resource that people can actually do together. So maybe you're going to commit to a week with 2 or 3 other people, try some of these activities together and do some of these journal prompts. So you can get that. There's a link in the show notes. It's a good world out there. Stay curious. This was great, Dave.
Thank you.